Right, that's what we're recording. So, it's Andy Pickett from Man Beast here, and I've got Dabe Thornton.
Oh.
Strongman and athlete, may I add. Live from his truck. So, Dave, thanks for agreeing anyway to do this interview before the Highland Games on Sunday, the 29th of August, if you didn't know that. And I suppose it's a good introduction because you're in your truck, and like a lot of strongmen, unless you're Eddie Hall and the rest of them that are full-time, we've all got families. I know you've got 3 kids yourself, haven't you? You've got a full-time job and you managed to get training in as well. So how did you get into strongman?
Well, I got bored of playing rugby and getting injured. And then I just lost interest in playing rugby. Couple of injuries and arguments there just led me to fall out of love. I liked the sport, but the clubs, I just lost it. So I decided to do something else. So I picked up some weights, very cheap, and I took it from there. A friend of mine, well, actually, my wife's friend's husband, who decided to get into it with me. We thought, oh, we'll have a laugh and a joke and see what happens. I got quite fast with the rugby as well. I was quite good. I was 120 kilo, which is about 19 stone. And then I was doing that on a Sunday and still trying to play on a Saturday. And then my good lady said, it's one or other. And I went, don't like rugby no more. I'm going to try and do strongman as a hobby because work always comes first. And then just there was nothing about for gym wise without traveling distances. Social media wasn't what it is now. So trying to find people with the same interests and the gym locations were a problem. So it became, right, there's a welding garage. Let's make some equipment. And let's start eBaying and buy some equipment. One of my first purchases was a 239 kilo Atlas stone. Bought it for 20 quid. Turned up.
Can I just say, did you say that right, Dave? 239 kilos?
Yeah. Just thought, I love that for a laugh. And then I turned up with my lad. He was about 4 at the time, something like that, 4 or 5. Turns up at Works van to Neil Denning's gym down at Aubrey. They lifted it over a small wall with a towel. And we tried putting it up a scaffolding plank, snapped straight through 2 together. So everybody in the gym's laughing at me. So I thought, well, I can't be outshone here. So I shouted at lad on Fort Truck. I said, oh, Civvy, get this in back at van for me. So that was it. That was the start of my garage doorstop for years. And then one year they decided, oh, Tom Staltman, fancy an Atlas stone, do you? Well, yeah. And I met up with him at Britain's strongest man in Sheffield, Doncaster, I think it was. Yeah, Doncaster Dome. And while he was getting changed at the end, me and his dad had both his pickups next to each other, back to back. And it was stuck inside of a wagon tyre. So we couldn't roll it across. We had to drag it across and slide it. So if you look at Tom Staltman, he actually, a couple of years ago, he actually lifted the 239 kilo stone.
Wow. And I think that was a world record as well, wasn't it?
A British one, yeah, according to Neil Denning. So I'm taking it from here, my heart, and believe it, that I started him on the road to his 300 Atlas stone.
You played a part in that, Dave. That just shows you played a part in that. So, I mean, that's an interesting journey. I know West Yorkshire it's quite heavily involved with rugby, isn't it? Wakefield, Featherstone, all that sort of area. Anyway, so it's interesting you come from that background. So in our events, because I think honestly, Dave, I've said this to you before. You know, I think you underestimate yourself. I know you've carried your injuries and stuff, but you'll always play it down. And then when you're on your game, I've seen you've just blitzed, especially Highland Games event. Even at Rotherham, you know, we had that as a bit of a demo stuff. But you're throwing. You were wiping I always remember that mace going flying around that arena, you know, when Rob Marsh were going to swing round with it. And there were the crowd there, and I had my head in my hands. I thought, don't swing with it, Rob. But you do really well, and of course, in the vehicle pulling. I mean, you know, when you're on your game with that, you're fairly untouchable with it, certainly in our events. Anyway, how did you come to thinking, well, I drive trucks, I'll pull
them? Just access to them. And it's just one of them where you go, I fancy pulling a truck. Just need a co-pilot.
I've seen in your training as well. I love your training videos in that yard. You know, you used to do a lot with dragging frames and stuff as well, aren't you? You know, dragging weighted frames as well.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer not to use AstroTurf or grass or anything like that. You want solid concrete, so you've got 100% friction. So every time you take a step, it's you. And the bit that I like to train is between your steps. So if you've got momentum of wheels, the bit between your steps, you can just fall forward with the momentum. But if you're on a drag from concrete, you've got to complete that push on one leg to be able to get the next leg to drive.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I've noticed where, you know, especially I've been quite a few of the events where you've been pulling, whether it's been a tractor, a bus or a truck, and you're extremely explosive off the line as well. As I've noticed with a lot of competitors, once they get it moving, there's some really good pulls. We know Simon Knowles is really good at that, you know, and you've had some good battles over the years, but you're really quick off that line. And what I've noticed with you is you don't seem to tire. You steamroll all the way down, and some other people that have started off explosively have faded halfway through. So it's certainly paying off.
I just switch off and I concentrate on just what I'm doing. Just everything in the world just stops.
Yeah.
It's the only way I know how to do it. Just lock in and go. So
Highland Games then on Sunday. So we had a chat, didn't we, before we press record? And we know you do it for a bit of fun, and you're not sort of bothered about. Yeah, all lads do have a good one. Some take it more serious than others. But is there any event out of those that you particularly dislike and you like?
I don't like Dinny Stones.
I don't think anybody does.
But if you remember the last Highland Games, I couldn't do it because of my shoulder. And every event that we're trying to do, my shoulder, because it were only a couple of months after the injury, because that bus pull were only 2 months after my injury. So being able to put one arm in front or behind, I'm just not looking forward to it because I ain't got full mobility on it yet.
I remember you messaging me, Dave, as well, when I think you were seeing the consultant, weren't you, at the hospital. I remember you messaging me saying something like, didn't really give any solution to it at all, did they?
No, apparently it's bone spurs, according to them. Apparently it's one there and one there. So it's just don't like.
So your frame certainly changed, and from a 19 stone rugby player to 25 stone now. You're 6'4" at least. You know, when I'm with you, you're a big guy as well. That explains the 6'3". Yeah, well, we say 6'4" on the P. I always tell you as a 6'4" giant, Dave, on the mic.
Well, he started at 6'5", and it was like never been that high.
I think it's the same sometimes when we're explaining the weights of equipment as well. You know, you've got to get that right when you're on the mic, because some guys think, how much?
Well, this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, I weighed 25 stone 5. But going back to you saying that I'm 6'4", I was in Ireland and I was talking to Mark Snape, and he turned around and says, "You're not 6'4". I said, "Well, according to Andy Picken, I'm 6'4". And we went into jail, and they've actually got a height stick for the prisoners, and I had to stand under it, and he went, "Look, 6'3". I'm 6'3".
So you're 6'. We'll have to change those stats then, won't we?
6'3".
So, in terms of Sunday, then, because you know all the guys fairly well on the circuit as well, who do you think, apart from yourself, obviously, who do you think's going to be podium? Because I know this time a couple of them that take it really seriously have been really quiet. Jake Rideout has been really quiet, but I know for a fact that he's training. I think he always got the furthest caber out the last couple of years. I know obviously Scott has been, there's not been too many videos, but I think he's taking it fairly seriously. And then obviously we're throwing in some new guys, and who knows what they can bring, because it's a great leveler, the Highland Games, because they're different events. So it throws the rule book out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Jake's definitely in for it running this year, because the last year too, he was building his confidence with exactly what you did with the caber and the stone throw, getting all the technique. And I think this year it'll all come into place and he's going to be top. Scott, you never know what he's doing.
Yeah.
It could look like he could post a picture he's on an hospital bed and still turn up and win. And you think, what? You never post out, mate. You leave us in suspense. And then there's a couple of guys I don't know. But they look good. It's just a matter of experience now, because like over years with the caber toss, they've had the power, they've thrown the caber toss quite far, but they just haven't got that flip over, and they've lost out. And such a shame, but I like it because it's always a mix, because it doesn't matter what size you are. You can still destroy bigger lads, or you can destroy smaller lads.
It's interesting that, isn't it, as well? Because do you remember when we put a couple at 105s in, didn't we, 2019? I got Michael Munch Davis, wasn't it, and Sean Blair, who was actually in again this year, and I think they did really well actually, because they were quick on the Stone of Destiny and stuff. I think they struggled a little bit, or I think Michael Munch Davis maybe struggled with the caber toss. Sean Blair's did really well, but then Michael on the Stone of Destiny run were like lightning, and the medley that we had, we threw in that medley, didn't we, with the anvil, if you remember last time. Yeah, so the smaller guys can still be really quick at some of the events and explosive, can't they? The log press is interesting for me because it's the first event. It's always a bit of a difficult one. I've seen Jimmy Sharps throwing ridiculous 15 reps out, but it changes on competition day. You've been part of Giants Live. You've seen it, haven't you? The massive comps, and it can either work in your favour, a crowd, or it can actually bring on the nerves and work against you.
Plus, you've got that new log, so it's new to everybody.
The handle, I was thinking that the handles, I don't know how wide they are and how it rolls up on the chest. I know Scott went up into the other day and did I don't know if you saw the video, did a test of it.
Well, it used to be the old cylinders and with a 2-inch grip. So it were a lot further out. You had to roll more arms and you're pressing higher, but you couldn't fully grip, get your forearms into it and press. So it just threw you off a little bit. So it being more like a log, I think there should be some more higher reps going in than you would think.
That'll be interesting. I love your prediction. So, Dave, coming on to Millie, your lovely daughter, 15-year-old, first threw her in the sort of truck pull thing with Dave Johnson over at Lincoln. I think it was June, or it was July actually, wasn't it? Did really well. Me and Mark were talking, and obviously we've got a women's category in the Highland Games this time, and we asked you, do you think Millie would be interested? We've seen the gym videos. Tell us a little bit about sort of what Millie thinks of this whole strongman, strong woman competition that she's found herself in.
Well, she's taking my limelight. You know what I mean? You get so far in business and you think, I'm doing really well here. And then everybody's like, how are you going, Dave? How's this? No, none of that no more. Oh, your daughter. Your Millie. Oh, she's really good. And it's like, yes, What about me? But she was supposed to do your bus pull. You know, the
Yes.
one that I did. But the day before, she broke her finger. So Max stepped up and took her place. But it cost us a fiver, me and Paul Smith, that, you know, to get him to do that bus pull.
Did it?
Yeah, he wouldn't do it. She's,
You know, that was the worst floor, wasn't it? In that, I mean, it was a good competition in the museum, and we had access to all those vintage buses, but the floor was, that made it challenging, didn't it? A bit slippery.
Well, because I was helping out, I was watching everybody slip. And I was watching who wasn't slipping, and I threw my rock climbing shoes back in my bag and put my walking boots on. I didn't slip.
Well, we know. I think that me and you were having that laugh afterwards, weren't we? When I PA'd, I think you said that I PA'd. It sounded like I said the wrong time or something like that compared to the video, but it was quick anyway, and you won it.
It sounded like you said 57 seconds, and me and Richard Hanson's looking at each other going, "What? Ow, what?" And Richard saying, "You were running," and I'm like, and you went, "Why you happy?" I said 57. No, I said 37. You wait till I get video out of this. I'm telling you.
That's a shame with Richard Amsask. I like Richard, and he's always been good fun in our comps, and he's had to drop out with injury. In fact, I think the Highland Games is normally the only comp he does all year, because I know he's off driving trains into wherever.
Yeah, Mr. Choo.
So Millie, then, you know, it's something new for her. It's a bit of a demo thing we're doing with the women's, but it'll be interesting. Have you been giving her any tips? Because obviously for the women, it's stone throw, caber, and the tractor pull, which we know is a bit of a bugger with those tyres.
Well, the only tip I really give her for tractor pull is pull it exactly like I do. So she's got the right feet position, making sure knees are down and toes forward, and keeping low to ground, and don't look up. The problem you see people is they look up to see whereabouts they are, and as soon as they pull up, they don't go in a straight line. They turn because they're pulling and they turn, and then that's when you see them wafting all over. So keep your head down, and that's why you see she always looks down and goes in a straight line. And then I tell her I'm going to give her a back slap if she stops.
I mean, I know Nikki Walters, who was at the Lincoln one, were particularly impressed, wasn't she? When we put the video on, Millie's had all sorts of compliments thrown her way, which is good, isn't it? A 15-year-old, if it's something she wants to maybe get into, she might not want to, but if she does, she's got the right father figure in place, hasn't she, in terms of getting some tips.
Well, when we got home that night from truck pull, and Nikki Walters had put a post about her, tagged her in, and other ladies were talking about her. She was stood in a bedroom with the massive grin that I've not seen for years, because she was absolutely ecstatic that people have took the time out, not knowing her, and give her the time of the day, because a lot now you see kids coming into stuff and it's what they're doing. Well, this isn't for that. This is for all adults. And everybody stopped and everybody said she did well and let's see what she can do, and just give her a round of applause. And she's absolutely ecstatic. And every comment or post that's put about her, we send it between each other, we wind each other up, and she loves it, man.
It just shows you, though, doesn't it? It's the power of sport for kids as well. It's inspiring. It gives them different goals. There's all sorts of different things that sport can do. I think it's brilliant. I'm
quite happy that she got on quite well with Nikki Walters, because I know on Sunday, if I'm doing something silly or something, that I won't be.
Like running around with a camera by any chance, taking different pictures, Dave?
But I get some good ones.
You do.
I do. But I can leave her with Nikki, to chat with and talk it between each other. Because that's what she needs, to be able to talk with the other girls. I don't know that Chloe Brennan. I've never met her. I'm sure she's going to be a lovely lass, but at least she's got Nikki there that she'll be able to go talk to and get advice, hopefully off Chloe as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of just interacted with Chloe, just messages in terms of her coming to the competition. I mean, she works in the NHS. She's a nurse with I think adolescents and kids herself. Seems really, sort of motivated and stuff. She's only at 10 stone body weight, I think, or something like that as well. So, we'll see what they can do. And women's sport, you only have to look, at the competition at the weekend. It's growing in popularity. Shannon Clifford, obviously Paul's missus there, doing really well, and all the rest of them. So,
yeah, it's really coming on, and it's good that people are going to watch them as well. So they've got more to achieve. They're not because the men started off in car parks and then became stadiums, and the women got left behind, and now the women just seem to be doing it for themselves and bringing their own franchise through, and more women are gathering momentum on it, and it seems it's a separate to the men's in a good way, where they're not latching on to the men so that people go watch them. They're actually doing their own thing, and it's their sport now. So.
And you mentioned there, didn't you? I mean, we'll wrap it up soon, but I think this is the difference between when you see your unique people, if you like, your Eddie Halls and Strongman that have been lucky enough to make it full time at world level. The majority of people like yourself and the circles I mix in are guys that have got a family, working full time. Obviously, I can see that you're in your truck and your cab now overnight and manage to fit in training as well and still do these competitions, without the big sponsorship money and payment. So, it's all credit to you guys, really, in keeping disciplined enough to do it, really.
I think I've been lucky because with my own gym set up at Yard, I've not really had to rely on going to gyms because you see a lot about mental health and going to the gym, but that's only if you can get on at the gym, where a lot of times I can't get on at a gym. It's not my release is going to a gym. I go, it's enjoyable. I have a laugh there, but it's not my source of release. And if there's people in there acting up and just people staring and all that, I'm like, I don't want to be there. But now I've got my own setup. I just walk in there and turn music up, and that's sort of my release on my own. And I got to train through lockdown.
And I totally get that. I mean, I've got my own release, whether it's running, I do a mix of running, cycling and weights, but that's the same for me. It's as much mental strength as it is physical, probably more mental, actually. It's just that you can escape into your own world with your music on and train, and then obviously do these comps that you're doing.
Well, I'll say for last night, right? We went into a local gym just because Millie can go. They allow her underage. And there were two women in there, and I'm not bashing that they're wearing minimal clothing, but the mannerism was, I'm better than you, don't look at me. I'm like, I've got my headphones on, I don't care. And then when Millie were picking up smaller weights, you could see a few sniggers, because I'm always watching what I'm doing and people around. So I'm watching mirror. And then Millie just turned around and went, a bit like these, aren't they? And a woman had just done the same exercise and put the weights down. And Millie picked up the weights heavier than her and absolutely smashed them round. And when we turned round to walk past, because I specifically made a point of walking past them to the legs machine, both women had their head down. And I thought, damn right, you've just been owned by a 15-year-old. And I don't like coming to a gym when people are made to feel like that. But
yeah, I think you are right. I think there is some gyms there where it is very vanity driven, isn't it? And you do get these individuals where they look down on people. I mean, I'm not into that. I think everybody should just train. It should be accessible to everybody. But you do, don't you? In some of the more commercial gyms, you maybe do get that attitude. Shouldn't be. But yeah, I agree with that. So let's wrap this interview up, Dave. I appreciate your time from your cabin, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, and we'll see which Dabe Thornton turns up.
Millie's dyed her hair as well.
Oh yeah, what colour is it? A surprise?
Well, she had the tartan kilt, and she's a fiery redhead, isn't she? So she'd look Scottish. She's got one.
Be stealing your thunder again, Dave.
I would expect him, because she's got massive curly hair, to come out and look like that lass off of that cartoon, Tangled. You know, that Scottish lass. But no, she dyed her hair tonight, and she's not bringing her nails.
The nails were a talking point at the truck pull, weren't they?
How did she do that, man? Full on tail nails. Come on.
We'll have to challenge every bloke to have some nail extensions and try and pull a truck without breaking them.
Well, I think that day the challenge more was who wants to pull the 7.5 ton truck just after she'd pulled it. No thanks. I didn't even think I could pull it quicker.
No, that were good. Well, thanks for your time anyway, Dave, and we'll check in after Sunday. And all being well, I'll see you Sunday as well.
Yeah. Do you want to see what I'm parked in? Hang on. Let me put my headlight